In the previous lecture, we looked at the Cypress test runner in more detail. So now we're going to look at Cypress's project structure. So what are the folders and files that Cypress adds to our project when we open Cypress for the first time? So just to give you an example, as you can see from my existing project, because we opened Cypress for the first time, it's now added a fixtures folder, an integration folder, a plugins, a support folder, and also a cypress.json file. So to help give us a better explanation of what those specific folders and files do, what I've done is I've also opened an existing project. So this existing project is something we will develop later on within this course. So don't worry too much about some of the files contained within this project or folders, because this we covered in later modules and lectures, just to help give you a better explanation. So what we're going to do, first of all, we go back to our existing project. First of all, we're going to run over what is the cypress.json file. So as you can see, I've clicked on the file, this specific file, and it's empty. So what the cypress.json file does is it enables us to change the default settings of Cypress. And as you can see, it's also created in our project's root folder. So if I close the Cypress folder, you can see it's created in the root of our folder. So we know that the cypress.json file is there to change default settings. So what may some of the default settings be? So for example, if we look at the more advanced project, you can see we can override the default, for example, page load timeout, or the default command timeout, etc. So it's really there to change Cypress's default settings. So now let's move to the support folder. So as you can see, inside the support folder, there's two files. One of those files is command.js and one is index.js. So now let's move to index.js. So this file is there. So when you, for example, open and run Cypress, it's the first file which Cypress investigates. So you can use this file to add additional imports, additional libraries, event listeners, etc. So now if we move to the command.js file within the support folder, so this specific file here is used to house common commands. So for example, if we have 5 tests which use the same functionality, we can extract that functionality and centralize it within this specific file. So just to give you a clearer example, if I go to the advanced project, go to support, and go to command.js, you can see that there's a common command called add product to basket. So this specific command can now be used within our Cypress tests. So when we call this command in our tests, we don't have to keep adding the full code here. We can just add like a single line, and then it will be able to use the following logic, which is housed with the command.js file. So the main thing of this file is to help us extract common logic, therefore enabling us to reduce code duplication within our framework. So now what we will do is move to the plugins folder. And as you can see, within the plugins folder, there's one file and it's called index.js. So index.js enables you to add functionality to extend upon Cypress's functionality. So for example, if there are specific plugins that you want to use within your framework, you can add those plugins using this specific file. So just to give you a clear example, if we go to our main advanced project here, and that file there, as you can see, we can add all types of plugins to our Cypress framework, extending upon the overall functionality. Okay, so now we've gone over our plugins. We know what the integration folder does. So let's finally move on to fixtures. So fixtures is this specific folder is there mainly to store any of our, for example, test data that we may need for our framework. So for example, we can store data objects or mocked objects, and typically all the data is most commonly in the JSON format. So Cypress even provides you with an example.json file. So as you can see, there's a name there with the following data. So we can use this specific data and pump that data into our test cases. And just to give you a clearer example, we go to the more advanced project and we click on the fixtures folder. For example, you can see there's also an examples.js file. But if we go to users.details.json, you can see there's an email address and first name. So the fixtures folder is mainly there to store files which contains data, and with that data, we can then feed it into our test framework and into our test cases. Now we should be more familiar with some of the key folders and files which get added to our project when we open Cypress for the first time. Now we're going to do a quick summary of some of the key folders and files which are common when creating a framework. So don't worry if specific folders or files are not visible within your own project, because everything will be covered in later modules and lectures.